The observation deck of the Vanguard hummed with controlled energy as Arya Chen stood before the tactical display, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Behind her, Oscar Reeves monitored the quantum communications array, his jaw set in grim determination. 3 years of diplomatic insults, trade embargoes, and territorial violations had led to this moment. "Signal strength at maximum," Oscar reported, his voice steady despite the weight of what they were about to do. "The broadcast will reach every system in the Galactic Council simultaneously." Arya nodded, her dark eyes reflecting the swirling star map before her. Earth hung there like a blue jewel, deceptively fragile. The aliens had always seen it that way, a death world, hostile and primitive. Its inhabitants too aggressive to be trusted with the responsibilities of advanced civilization. They had no idea how right they were. "Commence transmission," Arya ordered. Oscar's fingers flew across his console. Across 300 light-years of space, humanity's message began to propagate through the quantum relay network. It would take seconds, not years, for every species in the Council to receive it. The message was simple: a single data packet containing Earth's complete military specifications, defensive capabilities, and fleet positions. But it wasn't just the data that mattered. It was what humanity had deliberately left out for 3 decades of Council membership. On the view screen, the alien response began immediately. The Keltharian Supremacy's diplomatic channel lit up first, their translator AI struggling to process the flood of panicked quantum pulses. Then the Zephyrian Collective, the Morpheus Concordat, the Stellar Assembly, all of them erupting in simultaneous outrage and disbelief. "They're buying it," Oscar said, a thin smile crossing his face. "They think we've just revealed our full hand." Arya allowed herself a momentary smile. The aliens had spent 3 decades treating humanity like children who'd stumbled into an adult's conversation. They'd denied Earth's applications for trade route access, blocked human colonies from resource-rich systems, and imposed safety protocols that were little more than thinly veiled restrictions on human expansion. All because they believed humans were too violent, too unstable, too much the product of a death world to be trusted. "Phase 2, Arya commanded. The Vanguard shuddered as its massive engines engaged. Around it, invisible to conventional sensors, 300 human warships decloaked. They had been waiting in the dark spaces between stars, using gravitational lensing and thermal dampening technology. The Council's scientists had assured everyone was centuries beyond human capability. Oscar's console erupted with incoming transmissions. "The Kelthari are demanding explanations. The Zephyrians are mobilizing their defense fleets. The Concordat is—" "Wait!" He paused, reading the data stream. "The Concordat is requesting an emergency session of the Council. They want to negotiate." "Too late for negotiations," Arya said quietly. She thought of the human colony on Kepler 442b, starved into submission by Council sanctions. She thought of the research station at Wolf 359, destroyed by accidental weapons testing in what the aliens claimed was disputed space. She thought of 30 years of condescension, of being treated like dangerous animals who needed to be caged. Earth had built its fleet in secret, using resources from asteroid mining operations the Council thought were primitive metallurgy exercises. Humanity had developed quantum drives while the aliens believed humans were still struggling with fusion engines. Every restriction, every insult, every safety measure had simply taught humanity to be more creative in its deceptions. "Admiral," Oscar said, his voice cutting through her thoughts. "The Keltharian Third Fleet is moving to intercept. They're demanding we power down and prepare for inspection." Arya's expression hardened. The Kelthari, with their crystalline exoskeletons and their superiority complex, who had once told Earth's ambassador that humans were evolutionarily predisposed to self-destruction and therefore couldn't be trusted with antimatter weapons. "Show them what a death world produces," Arya ordered. The Vanguard's main weapons array came online. Unlike the particle beams and plasma cannons the Council favored, humanity had taken a different approach. Railguns, weapons the aliens considered primitive and inefficient, but scaled up to sizes that would have been impossible for any species not born under Earth's crushing gravity. The first volley crossed the distance in seconds. Tungsten penetrators, accelerated to 0.3 C, struck the Keltharian flagship's shields with the force of strategic nuclear weapons. The shields, designed to diffuse energy weapons, might as well have been paper against solid projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. Oscar watched his sensors in amazement. Their shields are collapsing. They're trying to retreat. Broadcast to all Council channels, Arya said. Let them hear this. She activated the fleet-wide communication system, her voice cold and clear. For 3 decades, you've treated humanity as a threat to be contained. You were right to fear us, but not because we're violent or unstable. You should have feared us because we're survivors. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every single day, and we didn't just survive, we thrived. We've turned every restriction you placed on us into an opportunity, every insult into motivation, every closed door into a challenge to find another way. She paused, watching as the Keltharian fleet scattered before the human advance. You called us Deathworlders like it was an insult, Arya continued. You forgot what that actually means. We come from a world where everything, the gravity, the weather, the predators, the diseases, was actively hostile to life. We didn't develop civilization in spite of that. We developed it because of that. We learned to cooperate, to innovate, to never give up, because giving up meant extinction. Oscar reported quietly. The Concordat is withdrawing their forces. The Stellar Assembly is requesting a ceasefire. Arya nodded. Broadcast our terms, full recognition of human territorial claims, equal voting rights in the Council, immediate cessation of all sanctions and trade restrictions, and reparations for the Kepler 442b colony. She turned from the tactical display to look out at the stars. Earth hung in the distance, that blue death world that had forged humanity in fire and gravity and endless challenges. You wanted to keep us caged because you were afraid of what we might become, Arya said softly, more to herself than to the aliens who would hear the recording. You should have been more afraid of what you'd make us into. The Vanguard surged forward, leading humanity's fleet toward the Council's core systems. The war they hadn't wanted but had been preparing for had finally begun, and the galaxy would learn what it meant to provoke a species born on a death world.